Hello, I am Steven, the Calculator Guy, founder of DeFi Dojo Discord, and today we're going to look at my favorite protocols in the Cosmos ecosystem. Why? Well, I believe that the Cosmos ecosystem has some of the most interesting yields in all of DeFi. Yeah, I know Arbitrum is definitely having it today right now, and there is a video on its way. Binance Smart Chain also having some great protocols, even Ethereum. I mean, we're having a Solidity fork season clearly. But while all this is going on, I do think there are some underrated yields in the Cosmos, and I want to look at them. So without further ado, let's dive right on in. We can't talk about Cosmos without talking about Osmosis. Now, if you're Sunny Agarwal, founder of Osmosis, you would probably say that Osmosis is like the heart of the Cosmos ecosystem, and that without Osmosis, there is nothing. I don't think I would go that far, but I will say that Osmosis is certainly the largest protocol within the Cosmos ecosystem, and it's a pretty robust and outstanding one. So let's look at why. Well, on Osmosis, you can deposit assets from any chain within the Cosmos IBC, within the Cosmos ecosystem. So if you don't know, Cosmos is a bunch of different blockchains that sort of all interact with each other through this thing called the IBC. So you can swap assets from one chain to another without actually incurring any bridge risk, which is really amazing. I'm not going to get into the specifics. Basically, there's just relayers on both chains. Anyways, you can transfer assets from any of those chains onto Osmosis just by clicking deposit, even chains like Ethereum, which is quite amazing, and then swap them through Osmosis's swap. Osmosis is the liquidity hub of the Cosmos ecosystem. So if you go to pools, you can see where the yields are at. I'm currently in ST Osmo because, well, I like stable pairs and no impermanent loss there. ST Osmo also getting about 22% intrinsic yield from Stride. Shout out to Stride. And so, hey, this is pretty good. So if you look at the total yield expected here, it's 45% incentivized by Stride, plus half of that 22% intrinsic yield from ST Osmo. You're looking at about 56% on this pair. Now, can you short the delta on this? Of course you could. We're going to look at least one place you could do that and potentially even get paid to do so, which means you're getting paid on the long, paid on the short, totally delta neutral, and having a great time. Now, there are tons and tons and tons of pairs on Osmosis, and I'm not going to go through all of them because that would be insane. Just know that if you're looking to provide liquidity in the Cosmos ecosystem, maybe get a yield on Atom, get a yield on Osmosis, get a yield on Juno, Evmos, whatever it is, this is one of the places where you'll have a pretty easy time of finding out how to do that. Now, if you want to use some of the more risky assets, lesser known assets that might have to be added permissionlessly, there is the Frontier. Now, the Frontier is also Osmosis. However, Frontier Osmosis allows you to effectively create LPs permissionlessly for any asset that is within the IBC. So you might find some very niche assets in here, probably less safe assets in here. And this is certainly, it's called Frontier for a reason. It is the Wild West of liquidity provision. This is sort of separated from Osmosis, which vets all of the assets and is a little bit safer with what you can and can't do. Again, Frontier permissionless, Osmosis a bit more permissioned. One thing to note is that when you do provide liquidity, generally to get the max yield, you will need to lock or bond your LP for about 14 days. You can bond it for a shorter time, but you're going to get less in fee revenue or in APR. So, consider that as one of the many risks. Like, I generally short my delta, and because I'm doing that, I have to think about how much leverage I want to use for my shorts, knowing that it takes me 14 days to unbond these. Like, what sort of different types of thinking has to go into a strategy like that? Those sorts of things must be considered. All right, let's move on. We can't talk about Osmosis, in my opinion, without talking about Mars. But before we even talk about Mars, let's talk about Dexmos. So Dexmos is a tool you can use to sort of scan top Osmosis pools. It's a really great tool. Shout out to the Dexmos team. But basically, you come here and you think of the assets that you want. Like, maybe you want to talk about ST Atom. You want to see what the return is. External returns, this means incentivized externally, in this case by Stride, 22.26%. Atom has an intrinsic yield of around 20%, so add 10% to that for the LP. You're going to get around 32% on your Atom. That's fantastic. Right now, you're getting paid pretty nice to short Atom on a number of centralized exchanges and especially some decentralized exchanges, DYDX, for example, Injective, for example. So this could be a good delta neutral play, but it could be a great, a great way to accrue Atom if you just want to be long on Atom. But yeah, tons of LPs to look at here. You could sort by APR if you wanted to. You have 1,334 if you just wanted to go straight degen. You don't care about you don't care about what assets. You just care about the yield. Fine, why not go crazy, right? If you care a little bit more about the yields, you could do something where you know what the assets are and you kind of like the assets. You want those assets. You can sort of search for them. Maybe you want to look at like what Mars has going on. And you can see pretty decent yields over there. So let's talk about Mars. Mars has come back from the dead since the days of Luna and has now become the center of attention, I'd say, for the past couple of weeks in the Cosmos ecosystem. Right now, you have the Red Bank. The Red Bank is like the only thing they offer currently. You can see I do have a bit of a position here. And there's still availability for the Osmo portion of this, but basically what you can do right now is deposit Atom, Osmo, or Axelar USDC to sort of bootstrap the depth of the lending pools on the Red Bank. The Red Bank is going to, in my opinion, probably going to be like the money market of the Cosmos ecosystem. However, let me not throw shade or forget about Umi, because Umi is one that already exists, which is pretty robust and I think worth mentioning. I almost forgot about it. How could I? It's a great one. So Umi, if you're watching this, sorry for almost forgetting about you. You can do some great loops here as well with like ST Atom and Atom or ST Osmo and Osmo. Definitely don't fade Umi. And what I will say is that they do have caps on a few of the best strategies available there. But, Mars is pretty much capped out already. But what Mars is going to offer in the future is leveraged liquidity provision on things like Osmosis, on Apollo DAO when Apollo DAO relaunches. And so if you like leveraged liquidity protocols like Francium, like Tulip, like Alpha Homora, like, let's say, Alpaca, there's a whole bunch of these different types of protocol, Taro, then this is going to be the Cosmos version of that. And the Mars is developed by Delphi Labs, which is like a subdivision of Delphi Digital. So it's a pretty robust team. I really do think that there's going to be a lot of talk about this protocol in the future. So keep your eyes on Mars. Definitely don't forget about it. And if you're looking for like little narrative plays, maybe you could think about what Mars's position is going to be in the future. So Umi, yeah, like I said, is the money market. I did sort of talk about it already. It's pretty cool. It has a lot of great assets on it, IST, which is a cool new stablecoin. But basically, go there, deposit your assets, borrow other assets. Some great strategies available. If you know what I mean about those strategies, then you can already, those gears are probably already turning a bit. Let's talk about Crescent. I like Crescent. I got a chance to sort of meet the guys over at Crescent, and they are if I remember correctly, they are a concentrated liquidity DEX. So concentrated liquidity, you're thinking your UAV3s, maybe your Kyber swaps to some extent. There are a bunch of these now. I don't have all of them at the forefront of my mind. Your Orcas, your Orca whirlpools, but basically you can come here, you can provide liquidity, another great ST Atom opportunity here, ST Evmos opportunity here. Lots of good places to sort of farm and do some swapping, maybe even some staking if you wanted to, if you want to stake the Crescent token. But it's another option for liquidity provision in a way that's a little bit more efficient, one might say, because it's concentrated. They also have an order book DEX. Maybe this is a club. I'm not entirely sure. This could be a concentrated liquidity order book. But yeah, check it out. See if it's for you. I think there are some decent liquidity provision opportunities there. And that sort of leads us to Windex. Yes, I said Windex, as one of the other options for liquidity. Now, this is on Juno, which is one of the many chains. Juno is an EVM chain in the Cosmos ecosystem. It had a lot of great press early on, sort of fell off, and is kind of making a bit of a resurgence. Definitely Wind gave it second wind, and these, the assets you're going to find here to LP are going to be ones sort of specific to the Juno ecosystem. You're going to have your Juno Atom, you're going to have your Juno Osmo, of course, but most of them are going to be assets you may not necessarily be immediately familiar with. So if you are familiar with these assets, you're probably already familiar with Wind. So I'm not going to go too deep into this, but there are some decent APRs. Wind, I believe, had a great sort of spike of bullishness after its launch. How it's doing now, I'm not entirely sure because I'm not following the price action, but Wind is probably going to continue to be the top liquidity protocol for Juno, at least for the foreseeable future. Let's talk about Kanto, right? The Kanto in the room. Kanto is technically IBC, technically within the Cosmos ecosystem. It is also EVM, so I mean it's Ethereum. It's MetaMask compatible is a way of just thinking about it very simply. And the way you get yield on Kanto, for the most part, is, I mean, they do have like an ohm fork, but I'm not going to talk about that. You would go and you would lend, you would create an LP, right? Whatever it is. Kanto Atom, Kanto ETH, Kanto Note. Note, by the way, is their proprietary stablecoin. It's above peg right now, so if you wanted to short it, you could. But there's no real mechanism to repeg it, so like do consider there to be some serious risks with that. And then once you've LP'd it, you don't stake these like you would with a farm. You actually lend them, but you can't borrow against them. So it's pretty much farming. It would be cool if you could borrow the LPs. There's a whole bunch of implications between or for borrowing LPs, but I'm not going to get into those. Real delta neutrality for LPs could be one result of that, but let me keep my nerdy ideas to myself. Anyways, decent APR. So Kanto, huge tear recently. You probably heard about it if you're in crypto Twitter. Kanto's just sort of been like in the ether in people's mind. Decent APRs like Kanto Atom, Kanto ETH, Kanto Note, and most of these yields are going to be paid out in wrapped Kanto, which is valued at 1-to-1 to Kanto. Slingshot Dex is where you would probably do a lot of your swapping here, but that's pretty much it. So you can use this as a money market, but you can only borrow against like stablecoins. Note, USDC, USDT. You can't borrow against anything else. Maybe in the future you can, but right now you can't. If you could borrow, there'd be some great looping opportunities, but also certainly some concerns for the Note asset. So I'm happy right now. They're keeping it pretty conservative. So you look here, you could provide Note USDT for 13.26%, get a decent yield on that, and have a bit of a day. So there's that. If you wanted to like aggregate these, auto compound, there is Y2R, which allows you to do that. These APYs don't seem mathematically accurate, but maybe they're doing some additional incentivizing. I don't know. I don't think they are. So double check the math here, but this is a place where you could auto compound those wrapped Kanto rewards back into the underlying LP, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you were into. All right, let's talk about one of, in my opinion, what I think is an underrated protocol, which is DMEX. So DMEX only has like $4 million total TVL, which is it was not a lot. And it is a place where you can provide liquidity for some pretty great returns by locking up your liquidity for up to 30 days. You can see here like USDC, USC, 57% APR. If you lock it up, you're going to get that paid in the proprietary asset of the Carbon blockchain. Carbon blockchain is a chain. DMEX is the protocol on that chain. SWTH, I believe, is the asset. So pretty great LPing opportunities there. Now, very sparse liquidity. A lot of this is sort of capped, so do keep that in mind. Caps are more prevalent within the Cosmos ecosystem, I'd say, than you find in a lot of other ecosystems, because they're trying to scale, I think, safely, maybe without a lot of bad press from exploits or whatever it might be. The money market is certainly a place where strategies abound. If you are a strategist and you know how money market strategies work, then you could find some opportunities here. I'm not gonna go and explain them all in detail. But if you join the DeFi Dojo Discord, certainly feel free to ask about them, and I'll explain away, because I think there's some really, really cool ones, and I love nerding out about things like that. All right, also, look at this APY on Ref Stick to Ethereum. What's going on there? Why is that 82.3%? I'm going to have to figure that out. But again, $4 million TVL, take that for what you will. There are audits on DMEX, but I wouldn't necessarily say that I would put my whole portfolio in DMEX. DMEX also has an order book. Dex, the liquidity for a lot of these pairs is not super deep, so don't come over here and do like a market buy with large amounts of money, expecting not to get totally killed by slippage, right? You can go over here and you can do swaps, and I swap out my rewards here, but I wouldn't want to do sizable swaps here without first checking other places to see what they have. We'll talk about KAVA. KAVA is not my cup of tea. It's just the UI looks much like TradFi. I'm not a huge TradFi guy. In fact, KAVA has a lot of other TradFi-ish opportunities. So does OKX. A lot of these, I believe these are Asian protocols, have more of a TradFi feel to them. They're very clean, but it's just it's not for me. The yields are decent though. Like you have USDX, which I believe is slightly off pegs, BUSD, and you can get an underlying of 8%, reward 21%. That's a really good stablecoin yield. Maybe comparable to like Athena and Velo right now, solidly. So definitely competitive, right? But it's a different chain, and there's also KAVA Earn, single side provision, which is quite nice for BUSD and USDC. It's going to be paid out in KAVA. If this is the kind of thing that interests you, go ahead and check those out. Definitely. Then we have Astroport. Now, some of you may remember Astroport from Luna days, like the very last few days of Luna. Astroport came out. There was this big narrative. People were really excited about it. People were locking their liquidity. They were doing all sorts of stuff. And that's when the moon crashed into the earth. But Astroport came back on Luna 2, and many people refused to use Luna 2 simply because of how horrible the Luna ecosystem felt. Luna 2 does not use the same tokenomics as Luna. There is no algorithmic stablecoin like UST. It's very, very different. And Astroport has sort of like kept the spirit alive of DeFi on Luna. DeFi on Luna was great because DeFi on Luna was always safe. There were really like no exploits. There was one exploit, I think, on Mirror, but like for the most part, DeFi on Luna was super safe, except for the fact that like the whole underlying architecture of the blockchain was severely flawed. But aside from that, the protocols were always ones you could go and like trust the protocol. I digress. Astroport is a place where you can provide liquidity. It's pretty great. They have a swap there. They have pools. If you want to play with the Luna and the Luna LSDs, then this is a great place to provide liquidity and sort of get some decent yield on those. You can see like there's a decent liquidity here: $9 million, $6 million, $4.5 million, and some pretty good yields. If you can short Luna, then there's some great delta neutral opportunities here. Let's actually talk about shorting, because I think that if you are still delta agnostic, you don't know which way you want to debate on the market, then Helix, which is on the injective chain, is a great place to short. So basically, you can deposit into Helix using the injective wallet, or you can deposit directly, like if you want to account, and you could just deposit from like the Ethereum network if you wanted right into USDC, similar to how you can do that on Osmosis. Or you could transfer. I believe they have Axelar USDC. You could transfer from Osmosis probably onto your injective wallet. Anyways, if you go to markets or trade, you can use spot or perpetual. Perpetuals is where you would short if that was what you wanted to do. And there are many, many different things that you could short here. Quite a list, lots of assets. So Kanto, ooh, that's an exciting one because you can get pretty decent yield on Kanto. Let's look at Kanto really quickly. I'm mostly interested in the funding rate. I want to see if this could be a funding rate arbitrage play. But basically, I'm always looking for places where the funding is positive, because that means if you short, you get paid. If we were to look at this particular account as an example, don't show me the funding rates. So weird. Maybe I'm just blind today, but I'm not seeing it. Surely there is funding, right? If I go to, but maybe I have to look in the perp. Is there a Kanto perp? Oh, maybe not. Futures. No, there is no Kanto perp. Darn. That's okay. I don't have to short, but I was talking about Osmosis earlier. If you wanted to short Osmosis, looks like the current funding rate is negative. I believe yesterday the funding rate was a bit more positive. Osmosis funding rate has been very volatile recently. But if you look at my account and my activity, my funding payments, you can see that I've been getting paid funding to short a few of the other assets. Let's talk about Kujira. Kujira is sort of a controversial, I wouldn't say black sheep, controversial chain for I don't even really know what reason. They get some flack for, I believe, security concerns. I don't know what those are, so I'm not going to dive in, but Kujira has a lot of stuff, right? They have Orca, Fin, Bow, and Blue. We're going to look at Bow, and maybe we'll look at Fin, but let's look at Fin first. So Fin is an order book DEX. You can go over here, do your order book swaps if you want to. I'm not a huge fan of order book swaps, but the cool thing is I believe you can set limit orders, which is really cool. If you want to set limit orders for a specific asset on here, then by all means you could do that, especially when they have some sort of unstable stable pairs. So you could kind of like set limit orders for if you want to buy under peg or above peg, sell above peg, things like that. Orca, this is your classic place to go bid on liquidations. If you remember Orca from the just froze there for a bit. If you remember Orca from the Luna days, this is that, right? So go in there, bid on liquidations, sort of buy assets at a premium, and then you can flip them immediately if you want for like realized APY, realized yield, or you can hold on to them, just get some discounted Atom, discounted whatever it is, right? Atom, Dot, Wrap BNB, ETH, Luna, etc. Gold, ooh, it's a cool one, right? You can bid on some. I want to bid on gold. Looks like there's not a very deep market here. Anyways, the final place and probably the most interesting place on the Kujira ecosystem is the Bow. I say Bow because I assume it's an allusion or a reference to like boats. And so here you can see there's lots of places to provide liquidity. And if I look at like the top pairs, you can see some pretty decent APRs, 13% on a stable pair. USK, I believe, recently depegged, but it's probably going to repeg soon. Kuji, Atom, decent. Some of the ones that are probably interesting are like GPAX. So GPAX is a gold derivative, which is fully backed. So, I do like that about PAX G. Anyways, GPAX G is Gravity Bridges. I believe Gravity Bridges PAX G. Here, gold USDC at 35%. To me, it's pretty enticing. Then there's some Ethereum pairs, some BNB pairs, but all above like 30-ish%, 20-ish%, and kind of compelling. But really, it comes down to what your risk reward is and what you're looking for. If this is something that entices you, then by all means, go ahead and provide liquidity. A lot of this liquidity is going to be incentivized differently. Maybe you're going to get Kuji rewards. Maybe you're going to get some other type of reward. But there's that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to talk, I can also talk about Stride as a great liquid staking derivative protocol. I'll mention Stride because they've been good to me. Why not? Stride Zone. Stride Zone. So if you stuck with me for a last minute, you're going to get a little bit more maybe alpha. Basically, Stride Zone is a place where you can stake your major Cosmos ecosystem assets, and you get a liquid stake derivative for Atom, Osmo, Stars, Juno, Luna, Evmos. Great underlying yield on Evmos. If you could short that, hey, great delta neutral position. But a lot of these are going to be already risk adjusted. So, anyways, this is a cool place to go. Stake, get an LSD, go farm that somewhere. Stride generally incentivizes very well, and people get mad because like the Stride token is not going to be doing great because it's used to incentivize. But at the same time, like Stride is really doing a great job at accumulating TVL for their protocol. So it's a weird game, but I think they're winning at it. Much like Lido did. Lido did heavy incentives early on. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But you're also going to have protocols like Quicksilver, which I really respect. Lido is actually going to come on chain. Lido is going to be one of the consumer chains, I want to say. So they're going to have their own liquid stake derivative for Atom, probably some other IBC assets. So look forward to seeing those. There is also Persistence. There's also Staffy. I like those guys as well. But yeah, so there are other protocols. This is not comprehensive. I'm not trying to fade any particular ecosystem. I just figured these are my favorite. These are the ones that I like. These are the ones that I think probably are hosting a lot of great opportunities right now. And if you like this video, thank you. But hey, if you want to talk about the strategies, if you want to learn more, I mean, a lot of the people from these teams are actually in the DeFi Dojo Discord. One of the guys from Osmosis actually answered some questions for me today about Osmosis. So shout out to you, Moons. But go ahead and join, right? First month is free. Don't have to pay if you don't like it. That's it. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day.